Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Gary Woodall. Welcome to this episode of the Mid-South Weather Musings. We've got a lot going on weather-wise across the Mid-South and the surrounding area, so we'll get right into it. We'll start out with the severe weather outlook for tonight, Tuesday night, into the early hours of Wednesday. We'll then take a look at some area radars. The thunderstorms that are going to affect us overnight are already taking shape off to our west and our northwest. And we'll wrap up this episode with some safety tips to keep in mind since we'll be dealing with yet another overnight severe weather event here in the Mid-South. So getting right into the severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, moderate risk, 4 out of 5 on their outlook scale over eastern Oklahoma, north and northeast Texas, and far western Arkansas. An enhanced risk, 3 out of 5, surrounds that, covering much of central Arkansas. Most of the immediate Mid-South, though, is under either a marginal risk, 1 out of 5, or a slight risk, 2 out of 5 on the outlook scale, and the threat basically increases as we go from east to west across the area. Timing-wise, again, an overnight thunderstorm event for us here in the Mid-South. Now, breaking this outlook down in a little more detail, not much of a tornado threat for us here in the Mid-South. The greatest tornado threat, eastern Oklahoma and the immediate surrounding areas. Wind, though, is a different story. In fact, wind looks like it's going to be the primary threat we'll have to face as these storms come through, especially near and west of the Mississippi River. Again, that wind threat increasing as we go further west, and potentially a significant wind event taking shape over eastern Oklahoma, northern and northeast Texas. The hail threat, fairly low for us here in the Mid-South. The greatest hail threat well off to the west, Oklahoma, up into southwestern portions of Missouri. So we are seeing a line of thunderstorms that's developing from the southern plains up to the mid-Mississippi Valley area. These storms will be moving and building to the south and southeast in the evening and into the overnight hours. The red shading shows where we have instability in the atmosphere. That's the fuel for the thunderstorms. Sufficient instability over near and west of the Mississippi River here in the Mid-South area. The strongest instability, the strongest fuel, where we saw that enhanced risk further off to the west. Now, as we go into the evening and the overnight period, this instability, this fuel, should be gradually diminishing as the storms approach, as we lose our afternoon heating. So, as the storms approach, their fuel supply will be gradually dwindling and diminishing. And as a result, the storms should be weakening as they approach the Mid-South. Two big questions, though, we're going to have to try to answer this evening. Number one is just what will the instability, just what will the fuel supply look like as the storms approach? We'll have to see how that evolves over the next few hours. And then when we get lines of thunderstorms, the second question, when we get lines of thunderstorms, they can sometimes produce very strong, organized areas of outflow, straight line winds pushing out at the leading edge of the line or perhaps pushing out ahead of the line. Even if the storms are generally weakening as they approach and enter the Mid-South area, we still could see some strong straight line winds at the leading edge of those storms. So the question will be, just how strong will those straight line winds be? So taking a quick look now at some area radars, starting out with the Memphis radar, the immediate Mid-South, just a few light showers over portions of southwest Tennessee, generally south of Interstate 40. Another larger area of rain, maybe a thunderstorm or two in there coming up through northern Mississippi, working past Senatobia up towards Hernando and in towards the Tupelo area. But if we look off to our northwest, we can see the line that we're going to be dealing with and facing overnight. Here we see the line going from Illinois near the Mississippi River across all of Missouri and down into far southeastern Kansas. And then if we take a look further to the southwest, we can see that line continuing down into northern, northeastern, and central Oklahoma, down near the Oklahoma City area. We've had a few brief tornado warnings with segments of this line, but all the yellow boxes that you see are severe thunderstorm warnings. So a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings for this Oklahoma segment of the line. Not as many severe thunderstorm warnings with the northern segment, but there are some severe thunderstorm warnings with this section as well. And again, watching how this line evolves over the next few hours will say a lot as to just what we face and experience here in the Mid-South. So to wrap up this episode of the Musings, some safety tips to keep in mind. Again, yet another overnight severe thunderstorm event for us here in the Mid-South. So tonight will be a good night to make sure that you have ways to get the warning information and that those ways can wake you up. Make sure that your weather radio is on and that the alarm is set. If you get warnings using a smartphone, make sure that the phone is not muted and that you'll have ways to be awakened if a warning gets issued for your area. Now, this is also a good time to go over your severe weather safety plan. We're not in all likelihood going to be dealing with tornadoes tonight, but we will have the potential for some very strong straight line winds as those storms come through. And some of the ideas that we talk about with tornado safety apply for the strong straight line wind events as well. Interior part of your room, stay away from the exterior walls, especially the windows. And if a warning gets issued for your area, close your blinds, close your drapes. That way, if the window breaks for whatever reason, those blinds and drapes will catch the glass fragments and keep them from coming through your house. So that's going to wrap up this episode of the Mid-South Weather Musings. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this informative, if you like what you've seen, then subscribe to us if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, like our page and follow us. That way you can get notified for future episodes of the Musings. And we will try to do a quick update a little later on this evening as those storms get a little bit closer to us here in the Mid-South. Also, if there are any topics that you'd like us to cover on a future episode of the Musings, put those in the comments section, and we'll try to work them into an episode where we don't have quite so much going on weather-wise. Again, though, thank you all so much for watching this evening, and everybody keep safe.